Very good afternoon. I'm here just to say thanks to Professor David Mann, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Wilkinson. I met both of them yesterday during dinner. My friend, this Venkatesh Ramakrishnan, he is from the journalistic side, and the Gaurav Tiwari is the social entrepreneur. And definitely to whom I am giving consultancy now, it's allowed. So we have placed the issues for what we are here. It's the oldest university and it is the youngest entrepreneurship. So the fusion of these two will produce the desired result, I feel. But I'll flash some issue which should be considered before we are going to ink this pen. Actually, it is a matter of great pleasure and importance that Royal Agriculture University, the oldest agriculture university in the UK, extending partnership to the School of Integrated Learning for noble objectives, including the well-being of society at large and Mother Earth. As we have outlined that our focus will be the disadvantaged sections from where the students could not afford the higher education, so we'll provide assistance. And for this, I think prime mover is our 20th Chief Minister, Akhilesh Yadavji, who have great vision for the environment because of his training into the environmental science, because of his academics, as well as his experience as Chief Minister and great passion for the underprivileged section of the society. So that is the amalgamation of this energetic and the persons who are at the helm of the power. So we now live in Anthropocene. It's if you are not from the biological side, it is the evolutionary stage where we are driven by the psychology of the person and the commercial need. So it is we now live in the Anthropocene, an era in which human actions have become the main driver of environmental change, climate change, biodiversity loss, land use change, and ocean acidification are among the main challenges facing humanity, and converging evidence indicate that planetary boundaries in key natural systems might already have been crossed. Such stresses challenges our ability to achieve and maintain the sustainable development goals and have the potential for widespread social, cultural, economic and health impacts. As we know, the modern food and farming system are fundamentally unsustainable. I am using this word unsustainable because still we are working. As you say that this university was established in before 100 years or so. So our goal was to produce more and to establish the system which can feed more. So in India we are also doing the same. But now when the growing concern on the environment is coming to us, so the goal should be reorient, or it should be pro-public and the pro-system. So as we know, the modern food and farming system are fundamentally unsustainable. They contribute around a third of world greenhouse gas emission and are responsible for almost 60% of global biodiversity loss. They are degrading the natural resources, water, soils, genetic resources needed to sustain agriculture production. Modern food systems are also highly inequitable. This is the point which we must consider when we plan something, that this modern food system or the commercial food system which this food chain established is highly unequitable. It benefits more to the persons who are not in agriculture business but into the trade business. So the first and foremost responsibility is to benefit the persons who are involved in agriculture. So it is the challenge of our time that we should train those young generation or young persons who are from those families who are really involved in agriculture. So that will be the main aim. Modern food systems are highly inequitable with power and wealth concentrated in hands of a few corporations, and it has become vital for a country like India, where 65% of the population is dependent on agriculture. Despite increased yields, food insecurity has been rising in recent years. More than 820 million people are hungry and 2 billion people are food insecure. Underscoring the immense challenge of achieving the second Sustainable Development Goal of zero hunger by 2030. The food system of the world, for 76 million indigenous people, are often branded as backward or unproductive. So I am coming to the point now, to the unproductive, but evidence shows that they are highly productive, sustainable and equitable. These systems preserve rich biodiversity, provide nutritious food and are climate resilient with low carbon. And they are already achieving zero hunger for many indigenous people, as research by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations has shown. This study also found that indigenous people engage in traditional activities in remote biodiverse areas with little reliance on the market economics tend to be of normal weight, and that supporting indigenous people food system and self-determination enhances nutrition and health. Many neglected and underutilized species that indigenous people cultivate are nutrient dense. By contrast, indigenous people who have shifted to modern diets are facing growing health problems such as obesity and diabetes. One young fellow yesterday told that in Karnataka they have one variety of chicken where the color is black. So we don't know how much is the nutritive value, but they are different from the rest of the stock. So we have to work on these indigenous breeds and variety. Many neglected and underutilized species that indigenous people cultivate are nutrient dense. By indigenous people food system have a critical role to play in informing wider transition to sustainable and equitable food systems. The ancestral food system, based on centuries of accumulated wisdom, are not only crucial for food security and food sovereignty, but also for cultural identity, spiritual well-being and land stewardship. Indigenous people conserve about 80% of the world biodiversity and represent most of the world cultural diversity. More research is urgently needed to address the many challenges facing indigenous food system. Research that recognize indigenous people as experts, values indigenous knowledge and scientific equality is led by the indigenous people and draws on different disciplines. Now I am mentioning here because as I know, we have selected the research center, the proposed research center at one of the most populous district, and that is Etawah here. So this soil people should be congratulated to select that site for the development, and that is the hub of the agriculture where the small farm system is dominated, and they have preserved their traditional agriculture knowledge there, and they are working on that. They are not part of the mechanized or the commercial food agriculture system. So that is the ideal setting where we can do the work to extrapolate it to the modern agriculture practices or to conserve it like as per the need. The climatic variation of the UP where we are, so it provides the immense opportunity for the future, especially in the areas in which your university work. That is, the climate sensitivity of agriculture in the state is relatively high. The state's high degree of poverty, fast urbanization and food, heat and cold waves are making it one of India's most susceptible places. Annual rainfall is expected to increase by 15 to 20% in the 2050. So the growing trend says that we will experience the increase into the annual rainfall. Increasing further in 2080 is 25 to 35%. The interannual variability increases as we approach to 2080. The maximum temperature is expected to rise from 1.8 degrees Celsius to 2.1 degrees Celsius during that time, and we from the biological side and the chemistry side, we know that what difference this 1 degree centigrade can make to the life systems. Available trend indicate that agriculture productivity will decline up to 25% in irrigated areas, which could be as much as 50% in rain-fed areas. So there will be the decline into that, and the challenge is to make the agriculture immune from the climatic change, to develop the indigenous variety as well as the practice. The dominance of small and marginal farmers, which is about 92%, which we were discussing yesterday, that is the small farmers who are having the below 0.8 hectare land is 92%, and it is growing now. With small land holdings will make the state more vulnerable to climate change. Inconsistent and erratic monsoon and water scarcity have substantially affected the crop yields, crop area, livestock in the Bundelkhand region in the last 4 or 5 years. Considering the increasing population and limited availability of natural resources, agriculture productivity needs to continuously increase to meet the growing demand for food despite the adverse impacts of the changing climate. The state offers a large number of R&D opportunities across all the sectors. Here we have the universities, the IRI laboratory, so we can have the backup facility from these institutions if we go with some MOU or some understanding with that, so we'll get the facility from there also. The priority research area may be in the field of energy efficiency, low carbon technologies, natural resource management and green gas house emissions. The thrust area may be sustainable infrastructure development, low carbon and energy efficient technology, promotion of carbon sequestration agriculture practices along with diversification of cropping system and promotion of biotic stress tolerant crop varieties in identified villages. Villages means that the hotspot of this primitive agriculture or the crop resilient type of seeds variety as well as the practices. Pilot projects for the use of organic manure, development of carbon capture and utilization projects, climate resilient infrastructure to withstand extreme weather events which we experienced this time. Globally it was, I think, I studied in UK, the temperature rose by 51 degrees in some areas. In US it is 53 degrees, here it is 51 degrees. So it is now the urgency now to potential renewable energy source to meet state energy demand. So these are I have placed some areas because it's the limited time. So I again say that it's a new venture, but we have high hopes from this. So thank you for coming here and invitation. Thank you.